Preface. The field grew dark around them as the clouds closed the sky above. Lightning struck the darkness of the night, and thunder rumbled the earth on which they stood. Yefimovich spoke. His tongue was tenacious towards his enemy. "It ends here, Alois." 100 yards back was an army behind Yefimovich. To his side, an ally by the name of Tokugawa, and along his right, a young man in fierce metallic armour with a shield donned upon his back that glowed hot white and alluring purple. "Your lust for power and destruction of this land dies tonight," Yefimovich threatened his enemy. Tokugawa and the knight halted their advance as Yefimovich strode forward, his movement now more aggressive. "The lust for power never ends. It is only transferred into the next soul who desires it more than its predecessor. If you want to end my reign, it only takes a knife through my heart." Emperor Alois responded as he began walking toward Yefimovich. Clutched in his hand was a sword whose blade gave a glow of rustic orange. His armour screeched a wicked tune, and the sockets of his helmet shone blood red. His pace quickened. Yefimovich, whose armour only covered his joints, saw that Alois' pace had hastened, and he too began to speed his approach on Alois. He was weaponless. The lightning struck and thunder clapped. They seemed to move as fast as light itself. The two were now in striking distance. Alois swung his blade, but Yefimovich, whose foot was planted deep within the ground, moved the ground of the earth and hoisted himself towards the storm above. A pillar of stone and bedrock now stood where Yefimovich once was. He landed forcefully behind Alois, and when Yefimovich landed by thought alone, he moved the pillared bedrock and hurled it towards his enemy. The column of earth fell upon the emperor, but Alois was mighty, and he was unscathed, and the pillar became nothing more than shattered pieces. "The ability to manipulate the pitch on which you stand gives you no advantage. You are a fool, Yefimovich, and you will lose." The emperor lunged like a comet, heaving itself towards the earth. Almost before Alois made his move, Yefimovich spun from him and struck Alois with the force of 1,000 men, striking his back and sending Alois forward to the ground. The emperor rose, removed his helmet, and cast his sword aside. His jaw was clenched, so too his fists, and rain began to fall heavily upon the two men. The sky lit up, but the rumble of the thunder never came. Alois fluttered towards Yefimovich as fast as one could blink. Yefimovich tried to counter his approach. Colonnade after colonnade he created from the earth, but Alois seemed to move as if he teleported from one spot to the next. Yefimovich, nearly in arm's reach of Alois, cast another colonnade directly in front of himself, but Alois plunged through the final column and struck Yefimovich squarely in his chest, and the force of the strike knocked him 20 yards and gouged the land as he skidded across it. The night sky seemed to get darker, almost Cimmerian. The thunder roared in the blackness, and the two men began to fight again. Their movements like quicksilver, each blow forceful and destructive, a sound like cannonade they made. Yefimovich pulled back his fist to strike, but Alois leapt skyward, 50 feet into the air. Countering, Yefimovich shot himself upwards by creating a pilaster from the earth. He met Alois in the sky and grabbed him by his armour. He clenched his fist as tight as he could and struck the head of his opponent until his arm grew weary. Alois was still in Yefimovich's grasp, and the two began to fall back to the earth, Alois below Yefimovich. The men landed, and their impact formed a small crater in the battlefield.
"It's over!"
Yefimovich cried as he tried to force himself off Alois, but the battle wasn't over. Rather, it continued to rage. Each man was bruised and bloody. Sweat mixed with the rain. Fiercely they fought. The power within both men seemed to grow as they frenzied in the black of night. As the spectacle reigned, Alois took hold of Yefimovich's left arm, caught in his binding might, and slammed him into the ground. Yefimovich cried in pain. The bones in his arm were broken. Alois quickly fell upon his waist and started striking Yefimovich's face with the bones and the muscles of his fists. Yefimovitch seemed to be approaching death as he was scraped and battered with punch after punch.